Hey, you got the Captain Fuzzy here, and I'm back with another guide. I'm going to show you how to do green screen, blue screen, also known as chroma keying in Source Filmmaker. Why would you want to do this? Well, sometimes you just can't find a map that suits the poster or the animation that you're doing, and you can use chroma keying with a background to insert a separate image into your background and have it show up. So basically, I am going to be building this one off of this image right here. So this is going to be my background image that I'll be using, and it's best to know exactly beforehand what you want the image to look like, uh, kind of in your mind, so that you can plan it out. And so for this, I can see that I'm going to have to use some lighting in the blue, maybe some green, and definitely a little bit of reddish, orangish light here. To make this work right. So with this being my image that I'm going to use, um, I can go ahead and move on. So first of all, you want to open up a blank map. I use dark void because there's no lights in there. Well, there are lights in here, but it's an unlighted map, and therefore you can light effectively without having other stuff from within the map messing with it. And that's what you want, is to have as pure an image as you can get. So I'm going to spawn a model first, and the first thing that I'm going to need is some kind of a ship. So let's type in Star Trek, and let's scroll down here. Aha, here we go. Constitution refit. Yeah, let's use the warp version. Let's open her up, and there's my ship right there. And now let's position this beastie where I want it. So let's grab this, turn him around like so. Yeah, right in there. Okay, let's lower it down just a little bit, and let's switch to my work camera here. Nope, I'm going backwards. I want to go up. There we go. And let's drag him back just a little bit. Yeah, roughly right about there. I'll set him in the image right there. And now we need to pick a skin for it. So I'm going to go ahead and click this. Set skin. I think 6 is the Enterprise. Enterprise A. Nope, 7 is. So I'm going to set my skin for Enterprise A. Okay. And now I have it pretty much in the position that I want it in. Now my lighting is kind of sort of already set up, but I'll go through and kind of show you how I did it right quick. Light number 1 is the main light here. First of all, what you want to do is drag your light onto your viewport, and that way you can control the light. See, I can actually move the light around. So what I want to do is get the light lined up right in this neighborhood just a little bit, and we'll check it back here. That's pretty good right there. Next light 2, we're going to go ahead and drag that in here. Now that's this light here, and center it on the image, or on the model in the viewport. So I'm going to bring it over this way just a little bit and set that, and then just double check. Yeah, that gives off a pretty good glow on it. And then last but not least, our third light. I'm going to drag it down here. Kind of point it up at the ship. Kind of get the ship in the center of the shot just a little bit. And go back to the regular camera again. Okay, now she's got the lighting pretty decent. Everything looks pretty good there. So go ahead and lock that in. And you'll notice on each one of these I've adjusted the colors down here with your color sliders to set them up for the various colors from this image that I'm using here, which I actually have it open twice, but anyway, so I've got a little bit of all of this in here. The blue, I think I'm going to go just a little bit more intense on the blue. I want a little bit more blue, so I'm going to drag this down just a little bit more. And there's a reason for this, is because when you're doing chroma keying with a blue screen, most of your blue is going to get edited out of it. And you'll see what I mean when I actually do it. So you want to over blue it just a little bit, because once you do the chroma key effect, it's actually going to make the model white. So you'll see what I mean when I actually do it. So now the image is in place, the lighting's in place, we've got everything kind of looking pretty much the way it should. So now what we need to do is go to my camera and set my focal distance, and you want it about midway through the model-ish, like about right in there. Okay, aperture, we can leave that alone. Everything else is pretty much set the way I want it, and then you can click the film strip and that'll kind of give you an idea of what it will look like when it's finished. So now that everything is pretty much there the way I want it, we save the project, and now we're ready to add the last little bit in here. And what we need is, we need a new model. We need a green screen panel. So let's type in green. Whoops, not Greek, green. Now in a case like this, you're going to want to use the biggest panel that you can get a hold of. So 1024 is about as big as they get. The more space you can cover, the better. So now that I have that, now I can rotate it into position. So let's go ahead and rotate it straight. Now you'll notice it's green right now. There's skins here. We want to set skin to 1 and change it to blue. Now the next thing we want to do is make sure that the screen is not blocking any of our lights. And to do that, I need to get over here where it is, and let's pull up each one of our lights. Now that's the front one. Okay, yeah, we've got one light there that we're blocking a little bit. So let's grab the screen and we'll drag it back just a little bit until the light shows up a little bit better. And let's see here, let's switch back to the light. Okay, that light's there, that light's there. So yeah, the screen's behind the light. So good. Now if you'll notice, you can see a little bit of the bottom of it down here. Well, we can fix that. We're just going to make a copy of this, and then we're going to paste it, and then we're going to take that one, and we are going to rotate it flat-ish. And then let's grab this and lower it down to the floor. Oops, we went through the floor. You don't want to go too far. Let's pull this forward a little bit. And there we go. Now you've got your screen completely full of the the blue screen. And now we are ready to render our image. So now let's save, and let's go to File, Export, Movie. Now, why am I doing this in movie? Because you get a lot better quality out of it. Trust me on that. I'm going to go ahead and export it here. I've got my settings set. I only want one frame because I only need one image. So therefore, I've set custom to one frame. These settings are good, so I'm going to leave those alone. And let's go to export. And then we wait on it. It only takes a second because it's one image and that's it. There's nothing else. And now it's completed. So now we can go in here, and if I open up my posters, here is my exported image from Source Filmmaker. Now here's where we make the magic happen. We're going to take this image, and I am going to import it into Adobe Premiere Pro. Now the reason I'm using Adobe Premiere Pro is that chroma key was originally designed for video, for film and video. It can be used on still images, as I'm about to show you here, but because it was originally designed for video, most of your video editing software, whether you use Adobe Premiere Pro or you use one of the free ones out there like OpenShot or one of those, most of them, if not all of them, have chroma keying scripts and stuff built into the actual software. So it just does it much better, much easier. This can be done in Photoshop, but requires several other steps that make it a little harder to do in Photoshop or GIMP, but it can be done there as well. So if you don't want to go with a video editing program like this to do it, then you can do it in Photoshop. But just know that it's going to require several more steps than what is here for this. So first thing we need to do is we need to import an image, and what we are going to import here is pictures, my pictures, SFM posters, and let's find my chroma key guide. There we go, and we're going to open that up. And that's our first image, and we also need the background image, and that is in this folder, and that is this image right there. Now we need to put these in our timeline to work with them. So the way that it works in a video editor is in layers, much like Photoshop does, or GIMP. You want to drag the layer that you want to use as your background in first. Now once you have that in there, you want to overlay it with this one. So we put that as our second layer on top of it. Well, now you're like, well, where did my background go? It's still there. It's just covered up by this image. Now, in order to get this image to have that background, what we need to do is go to Effects, go to Video Effects, Keying, and since I used a blue screen, I'm going to use the blue screen key here, and what I simply do is click and drag and drop it on that image. And bang, there you go. But as you can see, it's not perfect yet. We need to do a little bit of tweaking. So we go into our effects controls up here. Threshold you can leave alone. You can tweak it a little bit if you need to. This is the one we want to mess with here, the cutoff. Because as you can see, it's a little kind of transparent. So generally I find that for most blue screening like this, generally if I raise this up to about 60, that's usually plenty enough to solidify the object and have it look natural within the rest of the image. And as you can see here now, where I placed my lighting and everything like that, it looks like it belongs in that shot. And here now you can see, because I used blue screen, the ship, even though I have a blue light shining on it to illuminate it, the blue has actually effectively been removed. So I'm left with a white hue, white grayish hue to the ship. And that's why you make it, the darker the blue that you make it, um, the more it lightens up. So anyway, smoothing, let's go ahead and set that on high. That just kind of improves things a little bit visually with it. Now the threshold, like I said, you can draw it down a little bit to kind of bring a little bit more blue back into it. But as you can see, it eventually draws the background out of it. So generally I leave the threshold alone. None of the rest of this needs to be messed with, because the simple fact that this is all mainly for animating and things like that, which this is a still image, so I'm not animating it. But anyway, there you go. We've now got it done. Now all we need to do is export it. So we're going to, whoops, first things first, we need to select the timeline. No, the timeline, there you go. And then we can click File, Export, Media. And now we go in here, we're going to change this to PNG. Make sure this is set at 1080p. I'm going to change the title to Chroma Key Guide. And we'll take the 0 off of that. And we'll hit Save. And everything looks right. We don't need to export the whole thing, just a little bit of it. So we'll drop this down to about right. Oops, it's just one. I've got a touchy mouse. I just want one, but it's gonna, there. And then we hit export. And boom, done. And we should be able to find that. Where did I export that? I just love it when I do this stuff. I believe I exported it. Where? Here. Here we go. Yeah. And there is the finished image. Ready to go. You can upload it, do whatever you want with it. But that, in a nutshell, is how you do chroma keying in Source Filmmaker. I have included links for both free and paid versions of these programs. Pick the one that suits you best. If you can afford to buy Adobe Premiere or Sony Vegas to do this with, those are some of the best ones to use on it. However, there are some good free alternatives out there, such as OpenShot, for example. If you'd rather do it in Photoshop or something like that, it can be done there as well. I've included some links to some GIMP and Photoshop tutorials to show you how to do that in those programs as well. Um, Basically, it's up to personal preference. I personally prefer to do this kind of thing in a video editor because chroma keying is that's more or less what it was designed for, was for video and film and stuff. But you can do it, yeah, on still images as well. So anyway, there you have it. Chroma keying and Source Filmmaker. You got the Captain Fuzzy, and I am out of here.